There you go.
Okay. First item of business on the agenda tonight is the approval of minutes.
I make a motion minutes be approved as printed.
Make a motion to approve the minutes as printed and second. Janie, call the roll, please.
Janie Bishop, aye. Mike Graves,
She's counting on you to vote.
Mark Heron,
Yes.
Mike Hughes.
Yes.
Adam Lewis,
Yes.
Blake Mantu.
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yes.
Okay, motion passed. First item, I guess, on the agenda tonight is our plats. Martin Pine Hill Road property final plat. Is there any questions regarding this piece of property?
All three of these have the big plats, if y'all want to look at those.
Yes. Do I hear a motion about this piece of property?
Motion to
So-
approve. Sorry.
Second.
We got a motion and approve the second. Janie, call the roll, please.
Janie Bishop, aye. Mike Graves, Mark Heron.
Aye.
Mike Hughes,
Aye.
Adam Lewis,
Aye.
Blake Mantu.
Yes.
6 approved.
Okay, motion passed. Second item is Prairie Meadow final plat. This plat appears to meet all the regulations of the subdivision regs and zoning resolution. Is there any discussion?
I did have a question.
Okay.
Mainly, it's one, it looks like a lot, it looks like a backwards L. Is that meet all the requirements?
Yes.
And the other that's back in the back I think it's number 4. Is there a right of way for it, or I can't tell with this drawing if they've given a,
Yeah, there's a 25-foot flag stem down to
oh, I see it now.
Hungry Hollow Road.
I see it.
So that number 4's got all that frontage on Pine Hill Road, and number 3 has got that 26.7. That's the entrance for that lot number.
Yeah, I see
3.
it now.
Okay.
Right.
Any more discussion? Questions?
Was there a motion made to approve?
No.
I'll make it.
We got a motion to approve. Have a second?
Second.
Motion to approve and second. Janie, call the roll, please.
Janie Bishop, aye. Mike Graves, Mark Heron.
Aye.
Mike Hughes,
Yes.
Adam Lewis,
Yes.
Blake Mantu.
Yes.
6 approved.
Good, motion passed. Third item on the agenda is Graywood Farms North preliminary plat. This plat appears to meet all requirements of the subdivision regs and zoning resolutions. Is there any discussion on this?
How many total lots?
It's 58, I believe
Yeah.
it is.
I see it now.
Anybody here to represent this property? Ben, have a question. I didn't see where the right-of-way easement for the railroad was shown on this plat. Okay, is that,
There's a note that says see surveyor's note, and it's the boundary between those two.
I didn't see what that footage was. I didn't find that on the surveyor's note.
Yeah, I think it's a 50-foot strip of land there, and it's actually part of this property, but it's the easement that the right-of-way has, or that the railroad has an option to purchase.
Is any of the leach spill areas going to be into this easement?
No, it's it's a decentralized system. It's going to be all in community parcel number 22.
Right. I see where this dotted line, broken line is here, and I'm assuming that's the boundaries for the easement itself.
That's the boundary.
So everything will be inside the properties?
Right.
Okay. That was the only question I had. Anybody else have any questions?
It's decentralized system. As far as I know, since I've been here, it's the first one we've approved.
It is.
I'm actually excited to see it in. When we when you do get that in, is there any way that you could let us know, so, or at least me, so I can go up and see it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Just maybe interested in a little background on it. I mean,
Please.
Ocoee Utility District is, we've been working with them. They've agreed to take it over and own and operate it, maintain as their system. This was in the Cleveland Utilities area. They deferred, and then Ocoee Utility District stepped in. So they're doing their own design. We pay for it, their own design, install it, and they take it over.
Ocoee Utilities is doing the design? Okay.
That answers a lot of my questions. Like I said, I'm excited to see this. I've read a lot about these systems, and everything I've read about them it seems to be much better than the old sewer systems that they put in as far as environmental and all.
I think it's going to be a more common solution going forward for county development. I mean, this property was typical of a lot of other properties where when you get the soil map, it looked like a zebra of a little bit of good soil, a little bit of bad soil, which means it's really hard to get individual lots to have their own area that's provable. But this had about 20% of this land was great soil. That's all we needed to maximize the development, and it left the green space next to the railroad, so it pushed the development away from the railroad. It was just really a home run solution.
It really does sound like it. How many lots did you get out of it with this system?
This one's 57. The community parcel is actually slightly oversized for what we need. It is also located with, Ocoee Utility District. Hats off to them. They wanted it located not adjacent to an exterior property line where it could be expanded in the future. So if, for example, the property to the north wanted to do something, they wouldn't have to have their own. They could add on to the system.
No, you just answered the second question I was going to have, is if this system was oversized to handle another development that may come in the future.
It wouldn't be initially, but it could be expanded.
Could be expanded. Thank you so much, and hats off for even looking at the system. I mean, it really is the way of the future as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, it's the low-hanging fruit. It's the obvious solution for county.
Yeah.
Ben, I don't know if you know or not, but we have changed some of the wordage in our codes, and Ocoee Utilities is recognized now. It's the same as Cleveland Utilities.
I do believe that Ocoee Utilities is looking at expanding outside just the east side, also looking at the west and north.
So we won't have to go to Cleveland Utilities to get them say okay.
Yeah, I think there's still service district boundaries, just like electric. Don't think so. I mean, there are. So, like, Ocoee Utility District couldn't take this over unless Cleveland Utilities passed on it, but that was not really a concern. Cleveland Utilities passed on it.
I don't think that's going to be a concern ever.
No.
Yeah.
So
Okay. Answer my question. Anybody got any more questions about this project?
If not, I'll make a motion to approve it.
Motion made to approve.
Second.
Second. Janie, call the roll, please.
Janie Bishop, aye. Mike Graves, Mark Karen,
Yes.
Mike Hughes, Adam Lewis,
Yes.
Blake Mantu.
Yes.
6 approved.
Okay. Benny, we have anything else you need to add to the agenda, please?
I don't have any.
Mr. Chairman, I have a few things.
Okay.
I think unless you've been under a rock the last few months, issues like rezoning, annexation, growth, development have gotten quite a bit of attention recently. I've been saying for months that these are the issues that I think are going to be pretty defining as as a community over the next 5 to 10 years. The tension between folks that want to see growth, want to see development, and those that want to keep Bradley County rural is really going to, I think, has already come to a head and will be something that we deal with for quite some time. I'm of the opinion that growth is inevitable at this point. Our county government and our city government has done a really good job of creating an environment that people want to come live, that people want to work, and where people want to raise a family. And so unless we are prepared to hang a closed sign at the front door of the county, growth is going to continue to take place whether we want it to or not. And so I believe it's inevitable. I believe I've been on this board, I don't know how long now. Bentley, we talked about it 6 years, 8 years maybe. Long enough to be dangerous now. I don't certainly know everything that there is to know, but I've come to believe that we have an obligation to plan and prepare for the growth that we know is inevitable in a responsible way that makes sense for the future of Bradley County. I believe we can do a better job of that by opening up the process and making it a little bit more transparent to the public. I think we do a good job of that, but I think there's certainly opportunities for us to do a better job. I'm glad that these meetings are now part of what will be streamed from the county and available to the public even after we adjourn this meeting. But I also think that we can do a better job by exercising a little more control over our zoning and our planning regulations. With that being said, I would like to propose 2 changes to our zoning resolution along with 1 change to our subdivision regulations. One, I would like to propose a change to FAR, changing the minimum residential lot size to a ½ acre across the board, and change to R1 that would remove duplexes from R1. In my opinion, these changes give us a little more control over the density and as well as foresight into potential development that could happen on those properties. As far as the subdivision regulations are concerned, I would like to make another change or propose a change there, and that is to change the submission deadline for plats, rezoning, variance requests, those sort of things, from 15 days to 21 days. The change in my mind is meant to ensure that staff has enough time to do their due diligence, as well as ample opportunity to inform the public of any pending actions by this commission. I'm a big fan of property rights. I'm a big fan of developers, and I understand that these changes would add additional hoops that would have to be jumped through in some cases. And I'm cognizant of that, but I also look around and know that surrounding communities have much stricter regulations than we do in Bradley County. And so while I wouldn't want to do anything that is onerous or is an undue burden, I think that these are small changes that can be made that, again, give us a little more control. At the same time, gives us the opportunity to open up the process and be a little bit more transparent. So I'd like to ask Bentley to bring a resolution to the next meeting for changes to the zoning resolution for us to discuss and vote on. And I guess it would be draft the changes to the subdivision regulations that I mentioned for us to discuss as well. And Bentley, you can probably explain the process for both of those changes, what takes place, because one of those pieces will have to go to the county commission for approval.
Well, yeah, the first 2, the FAR lot size to ½ acre, and then taking duplexes, you said, out of R1 or FAR?
Take our duplexes in FAR?
Yes.
Then I would propose that too. I want duplexes to be solely in R2.
Okay. To take duplexes out of R1 and FAR, that would be a zoning text amendment, which would come to you guys for a formal recommendation to the county commission, and then after a 15-day public hearing notice, be voted on by the county commission the following month. Now, the submission deadline changes in the subdivision regulations, which you guys have the governing authority over. I believe that requires a 30-day public hearing notice, so I'll have to do that soon, but it won't be on next month's meeting. It'll be on the next month, but it'll be a vote solely of the planning commission. Change the sub-regs.
Do we have time before the next month's meeting to put those on the agenda to discuss and
Yes.
vote on? Okay. All right. And one last thing too, I had to keep adding work to your plate. I don't know what requirements the state has for us as commission members when it comes to training. But I'm under the understanding that there's some level of requirement, and I've never had any training as long as I've been on here. And so I may be asking for more work for myself when I ask this too, but if you could also research what it is that we as commissioners need to have, if it's annual, if it's one time, I think, I mentioned earlier, I've been on here long enough to be dangerous, to know enough to be dangerous, but there's certainly more I'd like to learn and understand. And I think if there's a requirement that we need to fulfill, I'd like to make sure that we're all doing that because I think it's important to help us do our jobs in a much better fashion. Sorry if that means we've got to do some extra work.
One thing I would like to say, Adam, about this is I, I agree that we need some changes, but we just got through making some changes in R2, and that was getting the mobile home out.
Yeah.
And we did that because we had everybody that isn't development anymore is looking going toward townhomes, at least a percentile to be townhomes. And if we stick duplexes in there, I'm thinking our audience crowd is going to have, well, there's going to be a duplex apartment complex across from my house. An apartment complex we're trying to keep separated from our townhomes and our residential, our property ownership. That's what we're trying to separate. So I would suggest instead of maybe looking at putting it in R2, maybe make another zoning just for duplexes.
That would be fine. I think my goal in pulling it out is I would like for not just for this commission, but definitely the public,
Right.
for when that sign goes up and they call in and
yeah,
it says,
right,
hey,
correct.
R1's going across the street.
Yeah.
It's not 6 different things, and I know R1's not,
Right.
but it's not the potential for 6 different things that
Right,
we know,
right.
and they know very clearly, no, it's a single-family home, R1, and
That-
they could either thumbs up or thumbs down, but at least there's clarity as
yeah.
to
That
what it's going to be.
That's what we were trying to accomplish
Yeah.
when we did that zoning
R4.
change to R4. Remember, take the mobile homes out and the camper
Right,
trailers.
which we just did.
We just
Yeah.
did that, yes. But I would hate to see us dump duplexes back in R2 and we're fighting that same thing again.
So would the suggestion be then, and this is good discussion because I want to do it the right way that makes sense. Would we create an R5 for just duplexes?
We can do that.
Because what's R2 now?
Single family home and
Single-family
townhomes,
duplexes,
And townhomes.
multifamily.
multifamily.
So what's considered a multifamily
Three.
dwelling or home? Is what's the term?
Multifamily dwelling is 3 or more in a building that's not cut down the lot line like a town.
Zero, the zero lot line.
Okay.
No, that's townhomes.
Yeah, that'd be the
That's all
townhomes,
But a multiplex is 3 or more.
3 or more.
Stay the same and on the same parcel.
See, if I'm a resident and I see this sign, I just want to know what's going across the street.
I agree.
Is it an apartment? Is it a trailer? Is it a house? Is it a townhome?
I
you
think
know.
it'll stop a lot of controversy if
Yeah.
we can separate these things.
Yeah. So maybe we do. I mean,
So just take them out and make an R5 district.
for duplexes only. Is that what we're saying? See, in my mind, multi-family units sort of encompasses
Yep.
townhomes, duplexes, and apartments. But
Yeah.
if we need to make it more clear, we can, I guess.
Townhomes is what the difference is.
The lot
just
lines
because
and all of
lot
that.
line.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
See, a
considered
townhome
s-
transfers fee simple, just like a
Yeah.
residence.
Well, I'm not opposed to doing it a different way. I think you hear what my intent is. So if we can get to a
Okay.
place where,
To take duplexes out of R1, R2, and FAR and put
Right.
them in their own zoning classification.
R5 would be duplexes only,
And nothing else.
and the half acre change to FAR.
Bentley, which one of those which one of those actually handles apartments? There's one that actually mentions apartments.
That's the new R3 zone.
Mm.
It's.
Could we
apart-
not just throw it into R3 then?
Well, I think that kind of defeats the purpose of what y'all are wanting to do. I mean,
To
where
me,
you
it's
know, you either know it's a duplex or an apartment.
well, duplexes, there's the lot line basically is covering all of them. They're 9 times out of 10 are gonna be rental. Is that correct or am I wrong?
Whatever y'all want to do. I mean,
I may be wrong on this. I'm just,
I would think maybe R3 would work, or just to move the duplexes to the R3, but to simplify everything, if it had its own,
R3's named the apartment
Yep.
residential district.
Yeah.
Not the duplex.
right,
I see what you're saying.
So it'd probably be better to
Have
create
its
a new
own.
district.
I think it would be.
Okay.
I think it'd be less controversy.
Bentley, I did have one question though. Now, we were talking about going from FAR, going from the acreage is there, and I'm trying to remember what that was. I think it was 3/4. Is that correct, or is it, But we're talking about going to a half acre.
Yeah, it
It
depends on
depends.
the, it depends
It
on
depends on-
services
Yeah,
available on the property.
it's 7,500 square foot with sewer and water. 15,000 with water and no sewer, then
25.
25,000. Sorry, give me a second. 25,000 without public water and sewer. Where you have a well.
For the sake of people watching this and anyone else that doesn't know that, what would that balance out as far as property acreage? Quarter acre, half acre, 3/4 acre?
25,000 is about half, or a little bit more than half an acre, right?
43,560 square feet in an acre. But I'm telling you from experience, the soils in Bradley County, it is tough to get a system in a 1,700 square foot house on half an acre. It's tough. You
That's
got-
just the minimum though.
Yeah.
That's just the, you can cut the
Right.
lot bigger than that.
Right. But I'm telling you, that's, if you pull down to that, it's gonna be tough. You might have some 45-minute soils in some places that you might get by with that, but,
So we can leave it at, what if we pull it back to 25 across the board?
well, all that's gonna be based on being able to get a septic permit anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So, but when you cut these tracks and you don't have soil work, see what I'm saying? It's tough to put them in that small square footage.
So back to the duplexes. So what if you have someone that wants to have his house and a duplex on the same lot?
That's things we need to sit down and think through and talk about before we jump.
And could it be duplexes and single family?
Does that happen?
Yes,
When's the last time that happened?
don't know, but it's a possibility.
I mean, I've seen it before.
Can they not just request a variance? A variance be given because that makes sense?
I don't really know that you can give a use variance for a zoning classification.
No.
No, I've never did that at the BZA level. I mean, you'd have to do like a parcel.
Well, I think the
Partial
total
parcel.
goal anyway is to eliminate variances.
Yeah.
Just have a specification or a code that can be met, where you don't have to ever, I mean, Jim's a surveyor, you agree with that? Okay. I think the goal, Jim, from the way I understand, I think the goal here is whenever he goes and puts a sign on the property for rezoning, and whatever he puts on there, people really don't understand what all you can do in this particular zone, or FAR, for example. They don't understand what all goes in there, and they request R2. Well, immediately, they just don't understand. But a townhome is a single-family residence, just like a house. It's just a zero lot line. But we've had lots and lots and lots of controversy that people, I feel like the problem was they just really didn't understand the whole scenario. And so we're trying to help that whenever Bentley goes and puts a sign on a piece of property, where the communities don't get up and sit. That's correct. Yeah, but well, I don't know that you're missing anything, Jim. It's just they're trying to simplify where more people understands the zoning. Yes, Ben? Come to Mike, please.
Or just listening to the conversation, just a suggestion. I think what you're wanting to get at is R1 is single family.
Right.
super clear that it's single family. That has a different perception than a duplex. And so if you take this is a small knit community, right? So I'm not, had a fear of getting booed out of the room a little bit. If we compare the code to the city of Cleveland, you can have similar verbiage for similar things. I think that helps people understand things better. So just to kind of say what they, kind of give you what they do that works and is pretty easy to understand. And it's kind of a tiered system. R1 is single family. R2, duplexes, triplexes, quadplexes. R2 is where townhomes are allowed. And it's treated the same regardless of ownership. So townhomes, you can own individually, but they don't treat them differently because the structures look the same. You can do single family. So it's tiered. So everything that's allowed in R1 is allowed in R2. So it's tiered. So yes, so at R2 you can have duplexes, triplexes, quadplexes, and townhomes, and single family. You can always go back. R3, you take all those and then you add apartments, which is any building that has more than 4 units. And that's where the apartments kick in. So that's similar to what your R3 is, I believe. You can do single family, but you can also go up to apartments. And then you have R4, which is mobile homes. So I think your code is actually super close to what they have in its language. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So the only difference is taking duplexes from R1 and putting it in R2. Is what you're talking about.
That was my original suggestion, yeah.
Yeah, you wouldn't. I don't see why you would want to create a whole separate category, and especially in R5 because it makes it. You feel like it's more intense, but it's really not. I don't feel like.
To be honest with you, I'm not thinking of this from a developer's perspective. I'm thinking of it from just an average citizen. If I know, and my whole purpose too is, yes, it's to eliminate some of the controversy and for it to be clear, but I'm also trying to, and this is just how I'm thinking about it. It gives us more control of the density. FAR is your most rural, when it's 80%, 90% of the county already is FAR. It's your most rural, and as you go up, single family home is a little less rural, right? Because you can put more homes on it. You get to R2, and now we're talking about multifamily residences. You get to R3, we're talking about apartments. R4 now is trailers, right? So it's just, for me, it's more about controlling and defining the density than it is to say. I think the side benefit is, yes, when the sign goes up across the street, that we also know more clearly what's potentially coming in.
I think you could accomplish that by just taking it out of FAR and R1 and leaving it in R2. And when the sign goes up for R2, they're going to call my office.
That's where I'd rely on your all's expertise. I mean, when it comes to the lot lines and what's in what, I mean, I understand that needs to line up, but yeah. That's why I originally requested, when I looked at what's allowed, my thought was just take it out of, missed FAR, but take it out of FAR, take it out of R1, and make it part of R2.
Okay.
Well, I
And-
think we've got enough information and discussion that's happened that we can look at it and come up with a good idea.
Okay.
Then we'll bring it back to this committee.
So how do y'all want me to write the resolution? To take it out of FAR and R1, or to create a new zoning classification?
I think we are in agreement, just put it in R2.
I would like to look at it a little more closely
Okay.
myself, before I answered, but
So don't draft anything between now and next month on that. But I can go ahead and do the half acre in FAR.
Can we talk about half acre some more? So you're already at 25,000 feet, which is a little more than half acre. Are you comfortable if that becomes the number?
I don't think the number's gonna matter because the septic permit's gonna dictate where you can utilize that as a lot or not. And that's on whatever your soil saturation rate is.
Okay.
That's how that will be, but a half acre, I'm telling you, is tight. It is tight. Ben, you're an engineer. I'm sure you've checked some. I know Jim's done several. Is a half acre not tight? Well, everybody can't have the diversified system. But I agree with you. I agree with you. But it is tight on a single lot. It really is tight. Not saying it's not doable, but it's tight.
I kind of tend to agree with Lake that maybe this might be something that needs a little more discussion and thought before we made a hard decision on making changes. I don't. This first time I've heard anything about it.
Why
This
don't
was right.
We
Right now.
we have a soil scientist here in town. His name's David Myers. Most of y'all have utilized him. Why don't we talk with David Myers and get some direction from David Myers? He's the soil man. He can tell us more than anybody before we, do something that we're going to regret in the future. What we're trying to do is simplify things and make them better. What about that, Adam?
So what happens now, though? What happens if you've got FAR property and it's 50 acres and you want to put,
Well, there's a house down on Spring Place Road, way on Bass Valley View School, and I think he's got about 40 acres, and it took him like 2 years to get one permit on that 40 acres
mhm.
for one house. So it's all going to depend on your soils.
But help me understand, what I'm suggesting is a change to the minimum. If you can't get it to if you can only find one spot to perk on 40 acres, you're only going to get one lot. Doesn't matter if it's a minimum of 25,000 square feet. Your new lot is 40 acres. Your new lot size is 40 acres. Am I missing something? I understand what you're saying, but my point is, if
What if-
25,000 isn't big enough, then make your lot's going to have to be bigger. Period. Right? So the minimum is all I'm discussing and setting. Because again, I'm trying to make FAR the most rule. Right now, FAR will also let you do 7,500 if there's water and sewer.
Right.
Well, it would change that too. Now the new lot size, minimum lot size, would be 25,000, unless they came back and asked for a rezoning request. Which again triggers the process, allows us to make a decision, gives us more control over the density.
They'll call it spot zoning if you start that.
But you would rezone the whole property, right?
You're not supposed to.
Well, we do it all the time. Now it just would make more sense when we do it. Yeah, I didn't expect us to make a decision tonight. I just wanted to raise it and really anticipated having more discussion next time we met. But I think that's
Why don't we
that's
do this?
appropriate.
We're not in a rush to do this.
Yeah.
Why don't we talk about it, think about it, and read up on it ourselves, and we'll have more discussion next meeting, and we'll give Bentley some direction on what we
That's
think
fine with me.
might be the best thing to do.
I've been thinking of it. This for some of y'all, it's the first time you've had to think about it. So
Right.
I certainly respect
Right.
that and understand that. So I
Right.
wouldn't expect anybody to make a decision or feel comfortable with it
Right.
tonight.
Everybody good with that?
And is the 15 to 21 day submission time, can I go ahead and do that one? That would help me tremendously. And it's not so much on plats or variances. But we've had some rezoning requests come in at the last minute on the last day in the
Right.
afternoon, and it's for well, the one that came in a couple of weeks ago that didn't end up going through and submitting it was for a lot of property that,
Right.
and
Okay.
by the time I get it processed, I can send it out and get the sign up. I'm not gonna have that much time to call and ask questions. I'll go ahead and draft that if that's okay with you guys.
I don't see a problem with that. Anybody see a problem with that?
Seems reasonable.
No, do we need to vote on it?
No, he's just gonna
Or is it-
draft it. We'll vote on it. He's
Right.
gotta
Vote
draft the
on next
resolution
meeting.
first, then we'll vote on the resolution.
I know you made the comment we want to get away from variances, but I think that that process is in place for examples like you just gave, where people with some common sense look at it and decide, okay, does this make sense and is it worth offering the variance for this reason? And I think that would be something that would qualify, in my mind.
But we'll need to get with Crystal, but I don't think you can give a use variance to the zoning. I don't think.
I've
we
never
can.
heard of it,
Yeah,
Okay.
but that's a good question for our county
Yeah.
attorney.
I'll ask her.
Anybody got anything else? Okay. Give us your name.
Jerry Bancroft. I didn't really with everybody.
Especially me. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, what I want to tell you is, look, I live out here in Prospect. Have 50 acres out there. But anyway, what's happened in the last year nearly, there's been 7 developments put out there. And a half a mile of each other. Okay, we're going to have a school. Maybe 2 schools, maybe soon too. We got that. We got to have all the sewage, all the water, everything. You won't even know where the water lines are out in our area because they're going to be everywhere. What I'm saying is, it's up to you guys. I'm not saying it tonight, but somebody needs to look into that. Not stick another unit out there because y'all got them out there 150 houses. Going up, what I'm saying is 235 homes. How many of you remember 235 homes? That's what I'm saying. And the builders are doing it. And it's time to stop that. You need to make, people have told me from our other counties that we have the toughest building codes in Bradley County, nearly any place in the state of Tennessee. Now, I don't know about that. You can tell me that, but they complain about our building codes here. I'm wanting to build a new veterinary clinic. I waited 5 years because the road taking so much time. They started out there about 5 or 6 years ago going to build a road. They're building it now. I look today, they're just kind of building it in spots out there. And then they'll be out there at our place next day. That'll be our busiest day. But anyway, what I'd like for y'all to do, want to tell you, though, I really appreciate you thinking about this. And I second everything you said. That was a good move. How many square feet is a half an acre lot? I know 45,000 approximately is an acre. What's a half acre?
Yeah, 22.5.
22,000. Y'all are talking about 25,000. Okay, I hope you stick to that. And another thing, one of my places out, one of my complaints is, guy has built a subdivision and he's got about 8 homes coming into the roadway instead of going in one road. Feed all the houses. That's a mistake. Who did that? I'll go to the city then. Mind it all. I used to worry about going to the city.
Everything that you've commented about, Jerry, all that is in the city.
Our whole out there, the whole
Every
thing.
development out there you've talked about is in the city.
I can't talk about you.
Oh yeah. Oh yes, you can.
You can,
I'm
Mr.
not-
You pay county taxes too.
Bentley has been a friend. At least Bentley speaks to him.
Mr. Bancroft, the way it is written up is if a property is touching the city limits, then the city can annex that property without going through the county commissioner or anything.
Right.
It's called continuous annexation. If it's a annexation that's spot annexation, I don't know how else to put it. That's not touching city property or city limits anywhere, then that's uncontinuous. And
You won't
what's
be able to-
happened is where you live at, I know
Right.
exactly what you're talking about. Those areas, they touch the city, they buy one lot, and then
Oh,
next
fine.
one, they'll buy another one, they'll touch the city, and then so on, they just keep on carrying it on out.
You skip around everywhere.
Yeah.
You guys aren't skipping. Skip. Okay. Do I need to go see the city?
Yes, sir,
Well,
that'd be
we-
my suggestion.
And unfortunately, we have no control over whether,
Thank you, guys.
like I said, on a continuous annexation, we have no control over it.
Lady, thank you too. Takes a lot of courage to serve. I appreciate it. Been writing, trying to figure out something to say. I don't know, you've been on it 6 years, that's too long. You need to give somebody else a chance to be here.
I tried to quit.
You've been on these committees and on these county commissions, 2 terms is plenty. I mean, I barked up a tree to you about that. I don't know how long you've been on it.
Too long.
Well, how many terms?
3.
Too many. You just, after 2, you need to sit down. Gray, you don't have to tell me. Listen, thank you. I'm gonna go back to Bentley. I'm gonna break it.
Anybody got anything else? Okay, our meeting's adjourned until next